Welcome back to the Cave of Wonders, Dreamwalkers. I am your Sith Lord Callous. I am where Star Wars lives. And this is another Rancorous review, my comic book edition. So if you're new here to the channel, subscribe, then hit that like button because it helps my channel out a lot. And then turn on notifications so you can join the Dreamwalkers on our journey. Today we'll be talking about The Rise of Kylo Ren, Chapter 2, written by Soule. The artist is Will Sliney, Guru Effects is the colorist, and Clayton Crane is the cover artist. Now let's jump into the story. Chapter 2 begins where Chapter 1 left off, with Ben Solo and Snoke on a beautiful planet that was created by a peoples trying to create an oasis of light to hold back the dark. But in spite of their efforts, they were consumed by the darkness. Ben and Snoke are discussing the Knights of Ren, and during their conversation, Ben admits that he hates his name, Ben Solo, named after Obi-Wan Kenobi, and of course he carries the last name of his father, Han Solo. And Snoke seems to antagonize Ben in this moment, questioning how, if he's named after two legends, could he possibly hate his name. But Ben feels the pressure of holding the same name as the Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and questions why, if he's never met the man, why would his parents give him the same name? And quite frankly, I've wondered the same damn thing myself. In Legends, the name Ben was given to Luke Skywalker's son, and rightfully so. They had a relationship, master to apprentice, and friend. The Solos shared no such bond with Kenobi, and I've always felt like this choice of name was one of the most ridiculous things to come out of the new trilogy, but I digress. Ben also can't stand his last name, Solo. As we learned in the movie, Solo: A Star Wars Story, the name was given to Han Solo by an Imperial recruitment officer. Han did not know his surname, and so Ben resents the lies that his name represents. A transmission comes in from General Hux, and Snoke rejects the call, which intrigues young Solo. But Snoke finesses his way out of an explanation. He turns the attention back to the lie Ben's name represents, and he encourages him to rid himself of his shackles. Embracing the darkness will allow Ben to be born again, and with his rebirth, he can take on a new name, one that will allow him to become his truest self. Ben recalls the one name he has held on to since his childhood, and with that name in mind, Snoke sends him off to find the Knights of Ren, a test Ben mustn't fail. He will either join the Knights of Ren, or he will die. Then we're taken back years earlier with Luke Skywalker, Ben Solo, and Lor San Tekka in search of a Jedi outpost far from the core worlds, a planet called Elphrona on the edge of the Outer Rim. The outpost is thought to be from the High Republic era, when Jedi activity was greatly expanded throughout the galaxy. Ben and Snoke are communicating telepathically. Ben is resentful of his uncle, and Snoke is manipulating his innocence. When they land, they find an impressive and well-preserved outpost, carved from the side of the mountain. Two Jedi statues pose on either side of the entryway, and the Jedi symbol has been etched into the front. They are all equally impressed as they make their way inside, recognizing that what they have just found is so much more than simply an outpost. It's a Jedi treasure trove. Weapons, holocrons, both Sith and Jedi. Luke is fascinated, admitting that this find might even be better than the cache of Jocasta Nu. And as they try to soak it all in, they feel the cold brush of darkness. The Knights of Ren. The Knights, 7 strong, outnumber the Jedi Master, his Padawan, and the old treasure hunter. But if Darth Vader taught us one thing, it was never to underestimate the power of the Force. Luke proclaims as the last Jedi that everything in this outpost belongs to him, for he represents the Jedi Order. But the Knights don't see it this way. It's finders keepers in their eyes, although they are civil, allowing Skywalker and his group an opportunity to leave. Sensing the darkness in Ren and the rest of the Knights, Luke counters Ren's offer with one of his own. And that's when Ben Solo has one of the most awkward outbursts of fan service, only second to Snoke's, which came earlier in the book. He boldly states how the Knights of Ren are facing Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, a legend. The same as Snoke when he mentioned Obi-Wan Kenobi and Han Solo, referring to them as legends. This need to reinforce the quote, legends narrative is unnecessary in my opinion, and almost felt a little cheeky. Until Ren introduces himself and the Knights declaring themselves legendary. This whole exchange just felt weird. But the time for talk is over. Ren ignites his crimson blade, and Luke tells Ben to protect Lord Santeca before raising his own lightsaber to meet the challenge. Ren releases the Knights, and Luke Skywalker puts the smack down on that ass. After disarming and bruising their egos, the Knights stand down, leaving only Ren to face Master Skywalker. He tries a bit of trickery, threatening to detonate the entire outpost, but Luke calls his bluff. Ren gathers the Knights to leave, but first he tries to appeal to young Ben Solo, sensing the shadow in him. He tells Ben of other paths than the Jedi, and offers him the opportunity to join the Knights of Ren. Before he leaves, Ren removes his helmet, revealing his gray hair and chiseled face. He sets his helmet on the ground, and the Knights of Ren leave without any further bloodshed. Now, years later, Ben has returned to Elfrona to retrieve the helmet, and as he puts it on, it triggers a comlink, putting Ben in direct contact with Ren. He tells Ben to meet him on Vanrak in the Mid-Rim. But before Ben can leave, Vo, Tal, and Hennix approach from the entrance of the outpost, lightsabers drawn. And that's where this story ends. Another good read. I'm enjoying learning more about Snoke, Ben, and the Knights of Ren. It's also cool to see the interactions between Ben and the only 3 remaining students from the academy. There were a couple of weird moments for me though. Snoke cupping Ben's head, the whole legends and legendary nonsense, and while I think the art in this series has been phenomenal so far, for some reason I feel like Luke Skywalker looks a bit off. Of course, I can tell that it's Luke, but there are subtle differences from the way he is typically drawn, which is slightly altering his resemblance to Mark Hamill. I liked seeing Luke in action against all 7 of the Knights of Ren, and I'm eager to learn more about Ren, like what the hell is wrong with his skin. But those are just my thoughts. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Be sure to check out my Lore and Legend series where I dive into stories of the past. Listen, I do what I love. I hope you love what I do. This has been a Rancorous review, comic book edition. Until next time.